Have you ever wondered what might happen if a nuclear winter ever descended upon our planet? This chilling thought has intrigued scientists and laymen alike, sparking countless debates and studies. What is this ominous term, nuclear winter? How would it affect us? What could we do to prevent it? The answers to these questions might surprise you. They certainly surprised us. So, buckle up, and let's delve into the icy depths of this scientific phenomenon. Well, prepare to have your curiosity satisfied. In the simplest terms, a nuclear winter is a hypothetical scenario. It's a theoretical outcome that could follow a large-scale nuclear war. But what does this scenario entail? Let's break it down. Imagine a world where the sky is blocked out, not by rain clouds, but by smoke and soot. These dark clouds are not the result of a volcanic eruption or a natural disaster, but rather the aftermath of widespread firestorms caused by nuclear explosions. The sheer heat from these nuclear detonations would ignite fires, which would, in turn, produce massive amounts of smoke and soot. This soot would then rise into the stratosphere, forming a dense layer that could block out the sun. Now, let's think about what happens when sunlight is blocked. The Earth relies on the sun for heat. Without it, temperatures would drop drastically. We're not talking about a mild winter's chill, but a deep, biting cold that goes far beyond what we're accustomed to. This is the winter in nuclear winter, a severe and prolonged global climatic cooling effect. But the consequences don't stop there. With the sun's rays blocked, photosynthesis would be severely hampered. Plants, the basis of most food chains, would struggle to grow. This could lead to a potential collapse in agriculture. Imagine a world where crops fail, where food becomes scarce. This is the potential impact of a nuclear winter on agriculture. It's important to note that this scenario is not the result of a single nuclear explosion, but the cumulative effect of multiple large-scale nuclear detonations. The scale of the effect would depend on the number of explosions, the size of the weapons used, and the locations targeted. In essence, a nuclear winter is a bleak, chilling scenario. One that paints a picture of a world plunged into cold and darkness where food is scarce and survival becomes a daily struggle. It's a scenario that goes beyond the immediate devastation caused by nuclear war, highlighting the long-term, global consequences of such a conflict. Essentially, it's a long, cold, and dark scenario that no one wants to experience. Now that we know what a nuclear winter is, let's dive deeper into the scenario. Imagine a world plunged into darkness, a chilling cold that feels like it will never end. This is the aftermath of a nuclear war, the onset of a nuclear winter. The detonation of nuclear weapons would release an unbelievable amount of dust and smoke into the atmosphere, which would then block out the sun's rays. The world would be shrouded in darkness, temperatures would plummet, and the Earth would be locked in a long, bitter winter. But it's not just the cold we'd have to worry about. The lack of sunlight would cause a severe drop in temperatures, affecting the Earth's climate on a global scale. This rapid change in climate would have devastating effects on the environment. Crops would fail, water sources would freeze, and the food chain would be disrupted. Many species unable to adapt to these harsh conditions would face extinction. The survival of humanity in such a scenario is a matter of intense debate. On one hand, we have our technology, our ability to adapt and innovate in the face of adversity. We could potentially create underground habitats, grow food in controlled environments, and find ways to survive. But on the other hand, the radiation, the cold, the lack of food and clean water, these are all challenges that could prove insurmountable. And even if we do survive, what would be the long-term effects on our planet? The nuclear fallout would linger for decades, maybe even centuries. The Earth's ecosystems would be severely damaged, perhaps beyond repair. We'd be living in a world where the rules of nature as we know them have been rewritten. The scenario of a nuclear winter is a grim one, a stark reminder of the potential consequences of nuclear warfare. The destruction, the loss, the irreversible changes to our planet, it's a sobering thought. A nuclear winter, it seems, would change life as we know it. But how sure are we about this nuclear winter scenario? What do the studies say? The concept of a nuclear winter isn't just a figment of science fiction. It's a serious concern that has been examined and re-examined through a multitude of scientific studies and simulations. This exploration has brought forth a variety of opinions within the scientific community, with some viewing it as a definite outcome of nuclear warfare, while others are more skeptical. Let's delve into some of these studies. One of the most notable is the T-TAP study, named after its authors Turco, Toon, Ackerman, Pollack, and Sagan. Conducted in the early 1980s, This study used computer modeling to simulate the aftermath of a nuclear war. The results were chilling. They predicted a severe and prolonged global drop in temperature, resulting in a nuclear winter. This study was groundbreaking and set the stage for future research. However, not all studies align with TTTAP's findings. Some scientists argue that the model used in the TTTAP's study was too simplistic and didn't account for certain variables. They believe that the scale of the nuclear winter may be less severe than initially proposed. Then there's the controversy surrounding the effects of soot. Some studies suggest that soot produced by nuclear explosions could rise into the stratosphere and block sunlight, causing temperatures to plummet. Yet others argue that the amount of soot needed to trigger a nuclear winter is far greater than what would be produced in a nuclear war. It's also important to note that these studies and simulations are based on hypothetical scenarios. The real-world dynamics of nuclear warfare and its aftermath are far more complex and unpredictable. Even with these differing opinions, one thing remains clear: a nuclear winter, if it were to occur, would be catastrophic. It's a scenario that the world should strive to prevent at all costs. As you can see, while the scenario is terrifying, it is also a topic of much debate and study. So, what can we do to prevent a nuclear winter? Well, there's no easy answer, but there are certainly steps we can take. The most straightforward solution is nuclear disarmament. Now, this doesn't mean getting rid of all nuclear energy. Nuclear power can be a great resource if used responsibly, but it does mean reducing the number of nuclear weapons in the world. This isn't just about one nation disarming, it's about all nations agreeing to reduce their nuclear arsenals. Nuclear disarmament is a complex process. It requires diplomatic solutions and international treaties. It's not enough for one country to decide they don't want nuclear weapons if their neighbors still have them. This is where diplomacy comes in. Nations need to negotiate, to discuss, and to agree on the reduction of nuclear weapons. It's a challenging task, but not an impossible one. A successful example of this is the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, an international treaty whose objective is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapons technology. While it's not perfect, it's a step in the right direction. But diplomacy and disarmament won't work without global cooperation, and this is perhaps the most challenging part. Global cooperation requires understanding and mutual respect. It requires nations to look beyond their immediate interests and consider the welfare of the planet as a whole. We need to remember that nuclear winter isn't just a threat to one country or one region, it's a threat to all of humanity. It's a threat to our planet. And so, preventing a nuclear winter is everyone's responsibility. This isn't a task that can be accomplished by one nation alone. It's not a task that can be accomplished overnight. But it is a task that we can work towards together. We need to talk about nuclear winter. We need to understand the risks. We need to take action. And most importantly, we need to work together. Because when it comes to preventing nuclear winter, it's not just about survival. It's about ensuring a future for generations to come. Preventing a nuclear winter, it appears, is a task that requires global unity and cooperation. So, let's revisit what we have learned. First off, nuclear winter is a theoretical climate condition that could result from widespread nuclear war. It's characterized by a severe and prolonged global climatic cooling effect, quite like an extended winter, hence the name. We looked at the potential effects of such a scenario, which are, to put it mildly, dire. The explosion and resulting fires would lift a massive amount of smoke and soot into the atmosphere, blocking out sunlight. This would lead to a significant drop in global temperatures, causing crops to fail and leading to mass starvation. Scientific studies have lent credibility to this grim hypothesis. Using advanced climate models, scientists have simulated the potential consequences of a nuclear conflict. The results are consistent. A nuclear winter would be devastating for life on our planet. But it's not all doom and gloom. We also explored ways to prevent a nuclear winter. The most effective method, of course, is to prevent nuclear war in the first place. This involves international diplomacy, disarmament treaties, and ensuring the secure storage and handling of nuclear materials. In conclusion, while the prospect of a nuclear winter is certainly chilling, it serves as a stark reminder of the catastrophic consequences of nuclear conflict. It underscores the urgent need for peace, cooperation, and responsible management of nuclear technology. While a nuclear winter is a grim scenario to contemplate, understanding it can help us work towards preventing such a catastrophe.